All right, welcome back to Blue by 90. I'm Justin, joined by Tanner. Today it's Friday, October 10th. Michigan is actually already out at USC practicing at the Chargers today. Do we know somebody there or something? What was our in?
Have we? I've been trying to stay off social media. I just am dumber every time I go on there. I'm really on a crusade against social media lately. Have we? Has anybody complained about that?
I
Show
haven't
cause
seen a whole lot,
Joe's.
but I'm sure the photos I imagine are going to come out today because I believe that they are doing a little walkthrough at Chargers facility today on Friday. So I'm sure that then it'll, be a whole thing.
Yeah.
I do think that the Chargers are gone. So
Okay.
I don't believe that. I think they're away. I can't remember who they play, but I don't think that Coach Harbaugh will be there. Otherwise, I'm sure it would just be like, what they're violating every violation you could ever imagine.
Yeah. The Chargers are in Miami on Sunday, so I'm assuming they probably left today. I don't know NFL travel schedules, but I would assume they'd probably leave later today.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know.
not totally sure, to be honest.
Cross country, kind of same thing Michigan's going through, right? I mean, that's probably one of the furthest flights, intercontinental that you can get, Los Angeles to Miami.
Unless you go up to Seattle, that's probably the only thing
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a
Seattle to
couple
Miami,
miles farther. But
or New York or something. But yeah, I like that they went out early. I think everyone I've talked to that's like since that news came out, everyone's a fan of that. I think
yeah,
just giving yourself time and your team time to adjust their body to the 3-hour time difference. Now, I don't think it's that big of a deal because the game's at 7:30, so it's basically a night game for these guys and 4:30 Pacific time. But at least
right.
giving yourself some time to kind of get over that. I guess that
It's
maybe
still
jet lag.
It doesn't. It's such a weird thing for anybody out there who does travel a decent amount. It's wild what 3 hours will do to your body, and like I don't. Even 1 hour sometimes
Yeah,
is weird. So
I
yeah, I
travel
totally agree
to
with you.
I travel to Southern California every so often for work. I find going west is a lot easier than going east because
Yes.
it's you're. I feel like you could just stay up a couple hours and it's 10 o'clock there, 1 o'clock your body clock. You just go
Yeah.
to bed and wake up.
Well,
So
I'm also a lot of times coming back from like a bachelor party in Las Vegas or
true.
something, and then there's no worse flight. I'll tell you that
Yeah.
right now. That Sunday morning flight when
Mm.
you're like, oh, I want to get back early, and so you get the like 7 or 8 a.m. flight. You had been out till 4 in the morning the past night, and then you add on 3 hours, so you leave at like 7 a.m. Don't get home till like 5 p.m. It's brutal.
Yeah, I've experienced that. My bachelor party was in Denver, and coming back, I had a middle seat. I think it was American Airlines. I
You're a
don't
big
remember.
boy.
And just the bumpiest. Like I, every time I land in DTW, like we're just going 700 miles an hour, like on our approach. I'm just like, oh, there's like the Renaissance Center, and we're just flying, and I feel like I'm gonna die every time. I don't know what it is. Every time I fly back, it's just we're hauling ass into DTW. So yeah, it's good for them to get out there, get acclimated, you
Yeah.
know. But I'm excited about this game, man. I think Michigan has a really good chance to get a good resume booster. And there's been a lot of talk about, oh, Michigan hasn't gone out west and won. Well, they did. They did in the Rose Bowl.
I did laugh at that stat. I was like, I know
What's
that
the one?
the stat was like regular season, I'm assuming, or something
Yeah,
like that.
probably. Yeah.
But I'm like, well, like there's one very recently that stands out.
Yes.
That is like the most standout game maybe of all time in Michigan football.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm excited too. I think that I've seen a lot of people have been picking USC, which USC is -2.5 in this one. Basically a pick 'em, right? That's what we talked about earlier. So nothing, it's not like this crazy, spread or anything like that. I think it's probably the right spread, to be honest, but I have seen a lot of people picking USC, which I know they're at home. I know Michigan's got to travel. I do think it's going to be a huge Michigan crowd for sure. I'm sure USC fans, if you're going to come out for any game this year, this is one of the games that you're going to come out for, right? So I'm sure they'll have, the most fans that they usually have out there, but I still think that Michigan probably has, wildly enough to say this, across the entire country, but I still think that they have the crowd advantage, to be honest. And so I agree with you. I think that like this is this is going to be one of those. Well, let's think about it. What other games on the schedule after this are going to be bigger, more defining than this one? There's
one.
Well, outside of until
outside of that, the only one that even comes close, in my opinion, is Washington next Saturday in the Big House. Gonna be football weather, noon kick. You're starting to sound like the Ohio State fans, Justin, complaining about the noon kicks, and I'm with you.
Listen. I was on the Ohio State fan side on that one. I'll have to say that. Like it does. We went through that in 2022, I believe it was, where we had like 7 games in a row on Big Noon. It's brutal. It's just from a tailgating aspect, like the 3:30 is so elite that I would just kill for one of those games. And I don't think we're going to get a home 3:30 game this year. So
it used to be the prime slot, man.
Oh,
Michigan Notre Dame 3:30 kickoff back in the day was electric.
The best. So I mean, this one being at 7:30, we're going to be at Pretzel Bell, so come hang out with us. It will have Woods and Whiskey on deck. We've got some specials going on there, so I might even bring the Shotsky to Pretzel Bell, to be honest.
I think you have to. Yeah,
I think I have to.
If they question you, just don't worry about it. It's not a paddle for discipline. It's it's a Shotsky to have a great time. I mean, Pretzel Bell is always a great vibe for road games, especially when you win. And then you're taking the amazing blue colored shots.
Yeah,
you're getting
shout out DJ Mainframe.
As after the Penn State game, Justin just punched my sternum.
His sternum is still bruised.
Yeah, it's so tender at this point.
Yeah. So
it's okay though.
So I'm excited for this one. 7:30 kick, 4:30 on the Pacific Coast. I want to start by talking about Michigan's defense versus USC's offense, because I knew, honestly, before I started looking into this game, I knew that USC's offense was really good. I've watched a few games. I'm a sicko. I actually stayed up the one night and watched Michigan State played like the first half against them, which was a 11 p.m. kick or whatever our time here.
I was getting back from a wedding and it was like was it Devin Gardner and Tim Brando on that? And I'm like, this game just started. So I look at my clock on my phone. It's like 11:30. I don't know how that ever got approved, but I watched like the first quarter on my iPad because we were traveling and
fell asleep,
and I just passed out.
Yeah, no. So I've watched them a couple times. Their offense is very good, right? So very good. But even with that, I was still shocked to see, when you look at the stats, almost 50 points a game is crazy, even for a USC Lincoln Riley offense.
Yeah, 48.4 points a game, giving up 23 on average. They are averaging 565 yards of offense. Yeah. Now, I will say I pulled up Michigan's stats because I was curious what we look like. Michigan's averaging 438 yards per game. And if you look at last year, Justin, they averaged 286 yards per game. So about 160-yard increase. I mean, that's like 2 80-yard touchdowns a game.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about it. They need to be a little cleaner. They need to convert those yards into points more often. And I think they'll do that throughout the season as they continue to get better. Bryce gets experience. But, I think when you look at USC's offense, it's extremely explosive. But I was kind of surprised at how Michigan's offense has been able to put up a lot of yards. And, I mean, they're not averaging 48, but they're averaging 35 points a game.
You would think, with what the fans and social media was saying, that it was more equal to last year's offense, right?
It is not. So I watched it.
It is not.
I gotta share this really quick.
Yeah.
So my uncle, I was on the phone with him. He's a Michigan fan, but we were talking. He was saying one of his coworker, or guy he works with, has I don't know if I guess he had tickets to the Oklahoma Texas game. He's an Oklahoma fan. He sold his tickets because he wasn't sure if Mateer's going to play. And I said, buddy, I have no sympathy for you. You know what quarterbacks I watched in person last year? And I love those guys. It wasn't great. I watched Kirk Campbell call offenses.
Listen, we do love those guys from last year. They're great human beings, but we're all aware of how it went. So yeah, I don't feel bad for you with John
No,
Mateer.
no.
You know,
Oh
and
no, you're gonna play a backup.
oh
Brother,
no.
let's have a conversation. So to your point, this offense, people are like, oh, a lot of hand wringing on again social media. I think this offense has been, better than I anticipated. To be honest, I thought Justice Haynes would be a really good addition. I didn't realize he was going to be top 3 in the country
Yeah.
in the Power 4 in rushing. I didn't realize Donovan McCulley was going to, hopefully that continues. The game that he had against Wisconsin, that style of play, him being able to go and be a difference maker. And then Bryce is just, again, I mean, you have a lot of expectations, but it's more so for later in his career. But the way that he's controlled the offense, has command of the huddle, I'm pretty stoked, right? Like, it's been pretty good.
Well, let's get to the offense in a second. As you can see on the banner here, it says to talk about.
Yeah, we don't listen to that. There's suggestions.
But yeah, we'll talk about Michigan's offense in a second here. But I do want to stick back to Michigan's defense and the USC offense. I mean, Jordan Mailata is very good. Let's be honest. Like, they are going to throw the ball a lot. Mekhi Lemon is one of the best receivers in the Big Ten, right? Like, I think that's a fair thing to say. He's a guy that we'd love to be, to have Bryce Underwood throwing the ball to be honest with you. So I think, but they haven't faced anything like a Michigan defense yet. And so, they are going to throw the ball on Michigan more than even Nebraska did, right? I think that it can be comparable to Nebraska wanting to throw it a ton. So I think that, I'm just curious to see how Wink handles this offense where they're going to want to air it out all the time. My biggest thing here is you're going to get beat on some big plays. That's just how it works, right? But you can't, it still has to be that bend but don't break, right? So I really hope that my goal for Michigan's defense this week is like, listen, even if you give up a big play, you got to come back the next play and come back swinging, because I don't want it to be a shootout, but you're not going to hold them to like 10 points. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think just the way the secondary is continuing to get guys back and play a lot of different bodies in the back side of the defense, I think is huge. I think Rod Moore, again, is just invaluable to this defense. I think his knowledge, his experience, and just getting guys lined up correctly, not having as many busts. I would have loved to have seen what this offense looked like, or this defense looked like with Rod Moore against some of the offenses they've already played. And this is a really good opportunity, really good test for this defense, right? I think it's a game where you've got to stay disciplined because Mailata can really move. And he's really more so looking to scramble to throw versus scramble to pick up yards on the ground. So they got to stay disciplined. They got to really play their keys and just stay in their rush lanes. Don't let them get out. And I think you have 2 seniors at edge, and you have, you have 3 seniors, but Barham's a little less experienced as playing the edge position. So I think with TJ Guy, Derek Moore, they've got a lot of older guys up front. And so you just got to be really disciplined and make sure that you don't let him escape. And, then your DBs are in a tough spot where it's like you're just playing backyard football and you're trying to cover Mekhi Lemon, who's an absolute.
That's not going to go well.
No
matter who's guarding him.
Yeah.
That's not going to go well if you give him time, which to that point, I was just going to make a point as well. Jordan Mailata has only been sacked 3 times so far.
It's not surprising.
Through, what is that, 5 games?
It's Jaden, by the way.
What?
It's Jaden Mailata.
How many times have I said Jordan? That's tough. That's tough.
You just don't watch the Pac-12, man.
I mean, it's tough. So we'll scratch all of those. If you can do like a little wicca to get that out of the other ones. Jaden Mailata, my apologies. Only been sacked 3 times, and so that's going to be a key point in this game for me. If Michigan can get to the quarterback, that is where they have been so effective this year, where, Raiola is really good for Nebraska until he gets sacked 7 times, and then he has no idea what he's doing. He's running for his life, right? And it's going to be the same thing for Maeva, where he hasn't dealt with that pressure this year. And so, it goes both ways. If we can get to him, then obviously it's going to affect them. If we can't, to your point, and Lemon's just, running free, then that's going to be a tough time for this Michigan secondary to continue to cover these guys.
Yeah, and I wonder too, I mean, I don't know if you know this or not, but Michigan hasn't gotten a single holding call on defense this year.
Knock on wood.
Kind of insane. No, I mean like no, none of their opponents have been called for a hold.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm sure Michigan's had some holds in the secondary. I'm talking about strictly offensive linemen.
On Rod Moore's pick last week, it was like the most egregious pass interference of all time.
Well, the ball's thrown. Is it catchable? I don't know. Yeah. But
no, that is insane because we blitz and are getting like with the amount of pressures that we have.
You have 7 sacks in a game. You should there's probably going to be at least one hold call,
right.
But there was not.
Pretty insane.
Yeah. The other thing though on that front is that USC averages 78 yards of penalties per game. They had 10 for like 80 or 90 yards against Michigan State. So, Michigan, I thought, had a really clean game against Wisconsin. They only had 1 penalty, which was a hold on Max Bredesen, which I thought was a little soft. But they have less than half of the average yardage on penalties that USC has. So I think that could come into play. Could be a situation where it kills drives for USC or it extends drives for Michigan on offense. You want to continue to be more disciplined. That's something with last year's team early on that was frustrating. I thought they weren't, extremely disciplined because, the 21, 22, 23 teams were up there with like Army, Navy, and Air Force, right? Yeah. In terms of like least amount of penalties. And those are some of the most disciplined student athletes in the country, regardless of sport, right?
Well, and we've talked about that's how Michigan won a ton of football games from 2021 to 2024.
No turnovers, they were clean, no penalties, right? Making the
and Connor Stallions. So like those all those things.
Can I just say, we've had Isaiah on our show and Isaiah Hole. And every time I get on like YouTube, like before I go to bed, I watch YouTube on my iPad, and it'll just be like just the thumbnail, just like the manifesto with Connor Stallions, and it makes me laugh every time. Amazing.
Shout out Stallion, shout out Isaiah.
Absolutely,
that's hilarious. But no, I do love like that game against Wisconsin is exactly what we want because that's getting closer back to Jim Harbaugh football with that completely disciplined, which I think, to be honest, in 2024 we got away from that, right? And even earlier this year, we were frustrated a little bit with them some key penalties. So that is exactly what I'm looking for from this team, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, and real quick, Justin, just a stat that I'm looking at here. Through 5 games, USC's opponents have 19 first downs via penalty. So that's about 4 a game.
Wow.
So that's 4 extensions of drives potentially that help kind of keep you in the game or help put it away. So I think for Michigan, that's something to monitor with USC. It seems like they're not the most disciplined team in the country.
Yeah, 100%. So let's flip it over to the offense then. I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, but this is a game I do think that because of the way that USC's offense is and how many points they put up, you can't play this game like you went in and played the game against Oklahoma, where you just think that you're going to squeeze the life out of them and run the clock out, right? So I think that they learned their lesson, right? They, multiple coaches came out and said that they were not going to stifle Bryce Underwood anymore. But I just want to see Michigan come out, be aggressive, play with tempo, let Bryce sling it a little bit. Tell me, Tanner, what you're looking for, from Michigan's offense in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's running the ball, right? Because you watch the Illinois game. That's the most recent game USC played. Illinois, they could have put up 45 points. I mean, they fumbled twice near the end zone. One was at the goal line. One was going in late in that game and, allowed USC to come in. But, I mean, Illinois was on their way to kind of blowing that game wide open, and then some things happened.
And that's not an unbelievable offense. Illinois' defense is really what – well, actually,
they gave up 63 to Indiana. I don't know, because it seems like Indiana under Kurt Signetti, like if you're even remotely similar in ability, they just find a way to do it. I mean, they did that to Nebraska last year. Nebraska was like
Yeah.
5-1 and beat them 49-7. So it seems like Indiana's kind of done that under Signetti. So it's hard to it's we're deep into the season, but it's still hard for me to kind of fully grasp who's really good, who's elite, who's great, right? Like within the college football world. So
Yeah.
not sure what to make of that still. Indiana's got a big game against Oregon. We'll learn more. That's not really going to help us on this program, though, Justin. So I think for Michigan, I think it's running the football. I think it's forcing USC to bring resources down into the box and try to stop Michigan's run game, and then allowing Bryce to make plays over the top, allowing McCauley and Marsh. And hopefully Marlon Klein gets more involved in the offense. I mean, he had a phenomenal first game, gets hurt, and I think it's been slowly kind of working him back, making sure he's healthy. And then also Hogan Hansen. We've talked about these four guys as kind of the top four pass catchers on the roster at this point. Continuing to utilize Samaj Morgan where he can be effective in the bubble screen game and as a gadget. Channing Goodwin did not play a lot last week. So I just, I think they've tightened up kind of the rotation at receiver and tight end. Would love to make them, just bring 7-8 guys into the box and get one-on-one matchups with McCauley. If you have a one-on-one matchup with McCauley, just throw it up there. Like Bryce has done that multiple times.
Can we try it like one time? I mean, in the end zone, please.
Well, in the end zone, yeah.
I know. In the end zone, if you're on the 10-yard line, 15-yard line, 20-yard line, one time throw it up to Donovan, see what he can do, because he's proved that he can go up and get it no matter what's going on.
Yeah, no, he made a great play, against Nebraska. I mean, it was just like, I thought his foot was in. I thought you could still see green, but it was called out of bounds on the field. He makes a great catch in this one that gets overturned. So I think McCauley, he's a guy that can go make some plays, go up and get the ball, right? I'd love to continue to see the back shoulder throws to Andrew Marsh. I think he's really – I don't know if he's as good right now as a, contested catch guy as McCauley, but I think when you watch his film, he's really good at high pointing the football, right? So if you throw him a back shoulder – or let him go get a ball. He's
only going to get better.
Yeah. I think him going for 4 catches for 80 yards was huge. Just to put it on film, like, hey, you've got to respect somebody other than Donovan McCauley. Right. But also just for his confidence, Bryce's confidence to throw him the ball, that he's going to make plays. So I think his emergence is going to be huge for this team this year. And I'm excited to see what USC's answer is to the Michigan run game, because I feel like they're going to be able to run the ball. It's just how many defenders is USC going to commit to try to stop it?
Yeah, 100%. And USC has only given up just over 100 yards rushing average per game this year. So they haven't faced an awesome rushing attack quite yet. And obviously that probably will always be Michigan's strength, right? So I think this is where, like, I want to be clear too. When we say let Bryce sling it and do this, that to me and to us, I believe, I don't want to speak for you, but means like balanced attack. That it doesn't mean like let's just have him throw 35 times, right? It's still, you need to get Justice Haynes going and establish the run game first, but then we do need to air it out a little bit. I'd love to see a couple deep shots, and just see what happens. Get Samaj open again, right down the seam, not on a bubble screen. See what can happen.
He was wide open last year on a seam route where he literally nobody within 20 yards of him, and Orji never saw it. So
yes,
I think Bryce would probably
so too.
See that.
I'm excited to see this offense, because I think the Oklahoma game was such a learning point for them of like, hey, we need to balance this out. We need to open it up a little bit. And I know it sounds crazy, but like, you're what, 3-4 games past that now for Bryce Underwood, right? Like we're watching him develop in real time,
Took a big step last Saturday.
Yeah. And so I'm excited. I mean, this last Saturday, the stats showed, that he played really well. And so I'm excited to see what he can do. And I want to, like, again, I'm not expecting this team to go out and put up 50 points. I'd love it if they do. I don't think I want to get into that boat race type of situation with the USC and Lincoln Riley offense. But I think if this defense does its job and does what they've done, for a long time now, right? I expect Michigan to go out and be able to win this game.
Yeah, I think Michigan is going to win too. I think if they just play clean, disciplined brand of football, run the ball, take the shots when they're there in the pass game, and let your guys on defense make plays. I think that they're going to have a chance. I mean, now again, Mekhi Lemon is. There's a lot of talk about Zachariah Branch in the portal this year and how much money he was commanding. I think Mekhi Lemon looks better than he's ever looked, to be honest. So, I mean, he's by far and away. I don't have their stats right up in front of me at the moment. Actually, I do. 35 catches, 589 yards, 5 touchdowns in 5 games. So, I mean, he's averaging about 7 catches a game here, over 100 yards. So, he's very dangerous. And Jair's going to have a big opportunity to shoot up some draft boards and really put himself in the All-American conversation, because I think he's had a really good year up to this point.
Yeah.
I did see a stat that I'm trying to remember what this stat it kind of implies, but he's number 1 in the country for basically the percentage of forced incompletions. So ripping the ball out or putting a hand through a guy's arm when he's trying to catch the ball. So, even when he's the ball is there to the receiver he's guarding, I mean, he's able to make a play on it a lot of the time. So he's number 1 in the country in that stat. So I think that's going to be huge, just being able to break up the ball, make plays, especially on third down. But yeah, I mean, it's a road game. Saw Lincoln Riley got a little miffed at Sharon for dude, what real quick, I saw somebody that's like, it's not just Michigan. Last year, USC sold out games against Penn State, Nebraska, and who else? There was another one. I was like, oh, what do those schools all have in common? They're blue bloods.
Literally, they have gigantic fan bases that travel. That is, they all have that in common.
Yes. USC is a historic program, been one of the best of all time. There's no denying that. The amount of Heisman Trophy winners, Hall of Famers, national championships, all that. But the fans don't care. They don't they're on the beach.
And it's also hard to get to, right? It's not on campus, really. Well, it's kind of on campus. It's better situation than the Rose Bowl for UCLA. So
a half-hour, 45-minute drive.
Yeah. So no, I mean the reality is there are literally thousands and thousands of Michigan fans in LA that wait for this, that have been had this on the schedule for on the calendar all year long, right? So I think we're gonna have an advantage there. What's that?
I'm really mad none of us are going. That would have been a great time.
That would have been an awesome time. I agree. Our away game this year is Wrigley to Northwestern. MSU too. So yeah. I mean, it's just tough on the pockets to go, to go across country, right?
I just, like I said, I just booked a flight out to Orange County. It was like $800. So I hear you, and that's not even including hotel, food, drinks, tickets all of it.
To the game, all that.
Yeah, all that.
So no, I'm excited for this one. I think that I don't know, I'm not worried. I'm not saying that Michigan is going to overpower this game and dominate completely. But there's just something about USC right now that doesn't worry me. Is that a weird feeling? They haven't taken the jump in the last few years, even with a Heisman Trophy winner, and Caleb Williams. They're still that Pac-12 type team where it's you can score 1,000 points no matter what, but you run into one Big Ten defense that is legit, and it's then they kind of shit the bed.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Lincoln Riley has struggled to adjust to. I mean, you saw it when he was first there, even with Caleb Williams when they played Utah, right?
Yeah,
I remember watching that Utah game, rooting for USC so Ohio State wouldn't get in the 14 playoff. And after losing to Michigan by 23 points, by the way, at home, and they just couldn't deal with the physicality that Utah brought to the table, right? And so, in the Big Ten, Michigan, Ohio State, I would have said Penn State up until last Saturday, but a lot of these better programs, even Oregon, they're all souped up Utahs, right? With better skill position, with better trench play. And they can smack you around. So I don't know. I think they're trying to address it. I mean, I think right now they have the number 1 class in 2026 for recruiting. So they're clearly trying to address some of the issues they faced during the Lincoln Riley tenure. But no, I'm with you. Like, I think Michigan, if they come and play their game, I think, kind of smack them around a little bit, punch them in the mouth. Are they going to be ready for that?
Yeah, I think that first hit by Jayshon Barham, right, or trying to, Derek Moore, TJ Guy, Ernest Hausman up the middle, and it's like, we've seen it. To be honest, we saw it with our offensive line against Oklahoma's defensive line just a few weeks ago, right, where it's like, all of a sudden you're going up against big boys, and you're like, oh shit, like this is the real deal, and like that is, listen. We saw that with Michigan versus Ohio State last year with Ohio State's offense going up against Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. And it's like, you can have as many 5-star wide receivers and an awesome quarterback and whatever, but if you can't move that defensive line, like you can't do anything, right? Yeah. Same thing with Nebraska and Dylan Raiola, right? It was like, all right, they've got this awesome 5-star quarterback, who can do theoretically anything athletically and from a quarterback standpoint, but he had 0 time and they didn't run the ball for shit that game, right? Yeah, and so if you can't do that, then that's where all of a sudden as an offensive coordinator, you start kind of looking around like, shit, where do we turn to, right? And so that's, again, for the 100th time in a row, I'm looking for Michigan's defense to just get to Jaden Maiava and like, get him on his back feet, get him on his ass, get him uneasy early. And then if you can stuff the run while that's happening, like then offenses just kind of like they all get wide-eyed and like deer in the headlights a little bit.
Yeah. I think that just comes with the territory of a Lincoln Riley coach team at this point. And I think Maiava is really good, but I don't think he's, on that same tier of first round number 1 overall picks that
he could be not number 1 overall, but he could get to a point, play himself into that at some point. But he's not capable.
I'm just buying into the narrative at this point, right? Like, they're just kind of soft.
They're still a Pac-12 team in my mind. Yeah, they have not become. Listen. Last year we didn't have a quarterback. We threw for 30 yards last year and still beat them. Where
2-minute drill running the ball from your own 10 is crazy.
It's
still hilarious. Every time I see the video, I'm like, how did they lose this game?
That was absurd that we won that game. So I'm sitting there like, man, if we can beat this team now, I think that they're better than last year, but I think if we beat this team with 30 yards passing, what happens when you have a 5-star quarterback, under center?
Yeah, I think getting Bryce outside the pocket is going to be crucial. Using his legs in the run and pass game. We saw them roll him out against Wisconsin. He made some really nice throws on the run. I think that simplifies things for him in the pass game. But watching that USC Michigan State game, I think Michigan State's first touchdown, Childs rolled out, and then the DB that was covering the receiver kind of came down to help in the run game, and then he was wide open through it, and it was a big touchdown early in the game. So I think you can certainly use Bryce's legs to your advantage here in this game to kind of get their DBs out of place and maybe make some throws on the run to McCauley or Marsh or one of the tight ends. So I think that's going to be key. But yeah, I feel really good about this game, Justin. I think they're going to win. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a night game for us. We'll late afternoon kick out in Los Angeles. I'm sure the sunset's gonna be great on TV, and I'm just looking forward to the game, man.
Yeah. We'll be, like I said, we'll be at Pretzel Bell. Want to give a shout out to Feldman Chevrolet of Highland here real quick too. They actually have a big used car blowout right now. They've got a huge used car lot with their used cars aren't really used. Their used cars are like 10,000 miles on them and 2 years old. So they've got a blowout going on. So check it out. Go up there. I think they've got some of it on their site. And then this weekend they're doing a big thing on Saturday. So check that out. This one of these times we're going to buy a truck. I know.
They're offering $1,500 over Kelly Blue Book trade value as well. I don't know how that program is going to work, but if you're looking to get out of a hoopty, it might be a good time.
There you go. We will be drinking Woodson whiskey tomorrow night at Pretzel Bell for a watch party at Down Bar. My girl Robin behind the bar, bartender, she'll be there serving us up some shots and some, old fashions, maybe even the Heisman, little Woodson whiskey and lemonade and tea. So I'm excited for it. But yeah, for us, you can follow us at Blue by 90 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Blue by 90 podcast on YouTube, and blueby90.com. We appreciate you. Go Blue.
Go Blue.